Today, I want to talk about the 10 mistakes that I see women make when they are building personal brands and ways we can avoid them. Like I said, even I have some small faux pas. Recently, I attended a vendor fair at a local summit. I was so excited. It's been some time, especially since post COVID, that we've even been able to truly gather. So I gathered all my items, got ready to go, set up my booth, and then the question started coming. Are you a bakery? I broke rule number 5. Want to know what that is? Stay tuned. My name is Sybil, HR executive turned brand strategist and business consultant for women who want to be the authority in industries they already like and love. So, if this is you and you are interested in building brand authority in an industry you are already an expert in, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and we will go ahead and get started. Like I said, I showed up at the summit just guns a-blazing, excited to be around people again. I set up my table. I've got my brand color on, pink suit ready, floral display going. And the last thing that I did, because it's what I'm used to doing, is I set up a small cupcake stand next to my display. I like bringing goodies. Baked goods attract people. There was logic to putting the cupcakes on my booth. But 1 out of every 2 people said, "Are you a bakery?" Or they were looking at me like I was a little too overdressed for the occasion if I was a bakery owner. And that got me to thinking about these 10 things that I see so many women make while they're developing their personal brand. We're going to go ahead and jump in. And like I said, I broke rule number 5, lesson learned. I'll still pack baked goods, but I will have a sign that clearly says I am not a baker. I don't know. Anyway, number 10. So these are the 10 things. And I would stay tuned for number 1 because so often this is the one thing that I find so many of my women miss. But number 10, thinking that having a website or a logo is enough. Yes, you need a website. Yes, I'm glad you have a logo. But if that is where your brand begins and ends, that is not enough. It's not memorable enough. To have a logo without a meaningful message or to have a logo without a follow through means your brand message will probably fall flat and your personal brand will go unrecognized. What can you do about this? I highly recommend developing a brand booklet, okay? This should be a part of your overall business strategy. It fits somewhere between your marketing and sales assets, and it talks about the story that your brand is going to tell through all of the assets that you are creating. Having a logo is great. Having thumbnails are awesome, but there needs to be something more that draws your audience in so that they remember exactly who you are, what you do, and why you can do it better than anyone else. Number 9, on the flip side of that, undervaluing visuals. I've partnered with a lot of women who have exited corporate and started building businesses, and they thought that they didn't need to take care of the visual things. They showed up as business as usual, and their visual assets took a back seat. So they literally had nothing, started from scratch. If this is you, here are a few things you can start thinking about. Number 1, what do you want to show up as? If you follow me, I dumped my bland gray suits and went for something a little bit more bright. Other things you'll want to consider are, what assets are you okay creating that can be replicated? When you think, oh, this is something I want to be known for, what do those assets look like? Are they booklets? Are they pamphlets? Are they one sheets? Are they how-tos? Are they guides? Whatever that is, those become a part of your visual assets. And yes, they should have a color story connected to them. When you think about color psychology, think, what colors resonate most with the brand message you want to leave behind? Number 8, thinking that style over substance is going to work. Now, this ties a little bit into number 10, but I want to be really clear that this is for the women who think they can just put on all the clothes and offer no value. That does not last long. We are at a place in a global economy where people are doing some deep diving, not only into you and your brand, but also the return on their investment should they decide to partner with you. Good looks and a charming smile will only get you so far. You have got to back your product with factual information. Some ways to concept proof your ideas are digging into testimonials, making sure that they align with the messaging you are spreading, and then continuing to upskill if you need to. Yes, you are an expert, but the best experts never stop learning. What can you do to enhance your brand messaging today? Go ahead and pop it in the chat below. Would love to hear from you. Number 7, skipping research, not only on the industry that you're in, but also yourself. When is the last time you took a skills inventory of the things that you are really good at? When is the last time you watched back a sales call or did a role play or really listened to the testimonials people are leaving you? One of the things that I love doing is writing in my brag book. And if you follow me for any length of time, or if you are a current client, you already know I stand firmly behind a brag book. If this is new to you, a brag book is simply a written collection of testimonials that people give you, but they don't realize they're giving them to you. So they happen in conversation. They happen when someone pays you a compliment and you say, oh, wow, that's really great. I love the words you're using. Let me write that down. So it's not quite as formal as requesting a testimonial, but they happen more organically. And that's a really good way to, again, get proof of concept for the thing that you are offering. If it matches, great. If it does not align, start thinking, am I missing a skill or am I selling the wrong skill? Number 6, not knowing what you're selling. Recently, I was engaging with a client and we were preparing for her webinar, and I asked a seemingly simple question. What are you selling this time? And she said, actually, I don't know. That is the quickest way to tank your personal brand. If you don't know what you're selling, then people won't understand what they're buying. If you cannot clearly communicate your packages and your services and your offerings, then people are not going to be sold on what you do. One thing that I highly recommend, if this is you, is while you are building your buyer persona, which I hope you have one, also build your skills persona. Think about all of the skills you love offering, the things you don't mind offering, and the things that you will never offer again. And then rank them. Figure out how to package it just so the things that you want to be known for are highlighted first. And then if someone happens to ask you, do you know how to do the other things? You can say, well, yes, and then make a decision. Is that something you want to serve in that place and space? And it doesn't have to be included in your packages or services. Did I mention number 5? This was me, the person that they thought was a baker. Yeah, I sent a mixed message. The bakery stand was the thing that stood out on the table. It was beautifully decorated, one for the picture books, and yet it threw everybody off. I spent most of my time at that summit trying to explain to people that I do brand strategy and no, I am not a baker. What I ended up doing was dumping the cupcakes because you've got to be prepared to pivot. And I cleared the table, reorganized it a little bit, and got my brand messaging back on track. So that's a small example of a mixed message, but other mixed messages happen all the time. Maybe you took a picture in a place that's not indicative of your brand. Maybe you were seen somewhere and someone remembered you, and that's not what you want to be known for. When you are thinking about your personal brand, think about every aspect of your life that might be seen and carefully curate the content that you want to be made visible. Number 4, not knowing where your target audience is. This one is not so much about your personal brand, but understanding where your brand belongs. I would not show up at certain places because that's not where my ideal clients are. It doesn't matter how fabulous my brand is if that's not who I'm serving. I do not belong, for example, at a men's retreat when 99% of my clients are female. It does not make sense. There's a misalignment. So, when you are thinking about your personal brand, also think, where does my brand go? Where does it fit? This might be selecting your social media platform, or it might be where you go decide to network, what associations you join, what conferences you present at or attend. Building your personal brand is very much about you, but it's also about where you put yourself. And that has to be a part of your strategy. Number 3, I'm getting down to the good stuff. So I want to pause and say if you have overcome any of these challenges or you've even made maybe one of those mistakes, put in the chat, how did you fix it? How did you bounce back? How did you rebound? So jumping back in, number 3, ignoring your personal brand completely. This one tends to happen for my women who have been doing what they've been doing really well for a good long while, and they've let the brand taper off. Just, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just lukewarm, if you will. Not a great idea if you want to build authority. There are a lot of people who want your clients' attention, and you've got to give your clients a reason to focus their eyes on you. Yes, it is great to have a brand that's been consistent, but bland brands don't make the cut. Bland brands do not become elite. They don't have authority. It's your job to figure out how to do this. And one of the things that I recommend is going back to your business plan or your vision board and saying, is what I'm doing preparing me for the legacy that I know I want to have 5 years, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? If not, think, what are some small incremental steps that are going to make a huge difference? That leads me to number 2, overly relying on your current reputation as it stands. I love having a reputation. I love that people know what I want to be known for. But at some point, you are going to have to get in the driver's seat of what people are saying about you. This is especially true if you are in the process of pivoting your brand, and that can feel really daunting as a task. You've been known for doing this one thing for 10 years, and now all of a sudden, you realize you have a different clientele base that you want to go after, or you realize the skill set you were serving with before no longer matches what you want to serve with in the future. If this is you, pivoting your brand is going to be a crucial next step in making sure that you tie your new skill set to your new client base. In this case, I highly recommend going back to square one, looking at your buyer persona, looking at your marketing, and figuring out, does this match where I am driving my business next? And it can be really challenging if you've been serving the same people with the same capabilities for the last few years. It can also feel really scary because this is uncharted territory. I want to let you know, I went through the thing and I pivoted my brand midstream because how I was serving did not match how I intended to serve. Hence the Sage Steward, which I'm still unwinding that ball right now, but it's okay. Know that brands evolve all the time and over time. And that does lead me to number 1, which is don't forget that your brand will evolve, and it should. So often we think, oh, I've got my personal brand. It was done years ago. It's great. It's fine. You are not the same person you were last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, which means your brand has evolved over time, even if you don't realize it. The worst thing you can be is unaware of how your brand has changed, how your clientele has changed. So the number 1 mistake that I've seen women make is not recognizing the signs that it is time to change that brand message. So this is why brand strategy is so important. Building a brand is a fabulous experience, but having a solid strategy behind it is what I call doing the boring stuff, right? This is the dirt of the work. Do the boring stuff. Build out an 18-month brand schedule. Build out a content building strategy, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Build out your color story. Rebuild your packages. If you've not updated your pricing strategy in 18 months, I got to tell you, you're leaving money on the table. If you've not updated your website in the last 2 years, I got to tell you, it's not pulling the traffic that it could be pulling potentially. These are all aspects of brand strategy and business operations that often go overlooked because entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, singlepreneurs, mompreneurs are getting pulled in so many different directions. And so, if that's the case, I want to invite you to let me just take a sneak peek into your business. I would love to give you one of my blueprints that just it's changing lives. It's changing the landscape of how women are looking at their business and their personal brands. All right, those were the 10. Like I said, if you've committed any one of those cardinal sins, just drop it in the chat and how you may have overcome it, or if you're still going through it, it is okay. This is about learning and growing together. But till next time, don't forget to check out some of my other videos. Don't forget to hit the like or subscribe. Be bold, be the authority, and I will see you at the top because that is where we all belong. Bye for now.